Kia ora, gentlemen. Running through today the answers to Thursday's work, which was around stability and balance. One of the main questions that you have to answer, and this will obviously help you out with your assignment. So using the pictures below, describe why the athletes are stable and balanced, and relate to your pictures. What are you doing differently? So this obviously also refers to Friday's work, looking at stability and balance in reference to that. But we'll just specifically look at these photos here. So obviously they're doing the same skill as us, looking into the badminton smash, particularly around the backcourt. Right, and the key principles we're looking in here, if we just look at this individual, the diagram shows a wide base of support, which was one of the key elements. She's got her feet nice and wide. She's getting a low center of gravity. We can see this, not so much from this angle, but she's definitely flexing at the knee joint, which is lowering that center of gravity, which is making her more balanced. So bent knees, lower center of gravity. Having supported the center of gravity allows all the particulars or particles of the body to be evenly distributed to maximize control of the technique. This represents optimal preparation, as an elite athlete would demonstrate this position in a majority of their weight, particularly over the back foot, to maintain balance. And as we've talked about in class, the reason why they have a lot of their pressure over that back foot is to make sure that they are reacting and pushing through, getting a ground reaction force, which we'll talk about later with Newton's law. And so they're pushing off so they can get that height to hit that shuttlecock nice and high in the air. Also in here, we see the line of gravity down here is within the base of support. Yes, it's towards the back, but it's definitely within this base of support here. And it's within those boundaries. So she's relatively stable. And this has happened because abduction has occurred at the hip joint. Arms are used also up in here as sort of a counterbalance. And this also serves as a purpose, as we've talked about in class, for them to get that rotation and somewhat torque around the shoulder joint. To get that range of motion. And again, this links in with force summation, and to get, as we've talked about in class, to get that merit level and above, we've just got to start to link in how one principle is linked in or affects the other. And as we talked about in class, for instance, a golf swing, we talked about if we had too much balance and stability, I guess, by having a wider base support, then we might lose that range of motion, which means we're not going to get possibly that force coming through the club head when it's in contact with the ball. And again, here's a small photo or diagram just to demonstrate what I was talking about. So the line of gravity cutting down through here, through the center of gravity, is within their base of support. And we also see the center of gravity is quite low because of those knees being bent. We see that counterbalance, again, that helps move this line of gravity around depending on where that's pointing. It also serves other purposes, as I've talked about, and we will talk about later on. And obviously where the head goes as well. You realize your head is quite a lot of weight, and that obviously dictates where the rest of the body goes. So just to cover, because this is obviously going to be relevant for what you did on Friday. These individuals, obviously, if you had a larger mass, you would have more inertia, which would make you more stable. Again, that has negative effects. We've talked about this in class, just around obviously your movement and agility, and possibly how well you're going to be able to get airborne and yourself become a projectile if you have more inertia. We've got the lower center of gravity as they're flexing their knee joints. We've got a larger and wider base of support. Again, there has to be a sweet spot in there. And we get a closer line of gravity through your center of gravity and within that base of support that cuts down through here. And finally, obviously, you look at yourself and the footwear friction that's going on, that'll create balance. Again, we've just looked at one subphase here. Again, over your shot, you've broken it into different subphases. So this would be somewhat the setup phase. We get the execution phase, the follow through, and then obviously the recovery. Within all these, stability and balance is a key aspect throughout it, but most importantly at the setup and most likely at the end, and then for summation, other ones will come into it.